The Rams make a shocking move as they bring in an outside free agent to replace what they're missing at a particular position. We're talking about that as well as some interesting injury updates, to say the least, all on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Giron. Remember, if you guys are not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, press the subscribe button now, as roughly 64.6% of you guys are watching the videos, but you're still not pressing that subscribe button. All I'm saying is if you're already here, you're already watching, might as well press that subscribe button so you don't miss any daily Rams content here at the Rams Digest. Let's get into some very interesting stories here as we are first starting to talk about the shocking news, a shocking move of the day, as the Rams they sign him. This is kind of an interesting name I thought the Rams are now bringing in to kind of help add some more depth to their cornerback room, as obviously they're dealing with a big-time injury to Ahkello Witherspoon, one of their starting corners. 5 things to know about the Rams' new cornerback, Trey Brown. As a former Seahawk, the Rams should know Trey Brown fairly well. This comes to us from Cameron Da Silva of the Rams Wire. And the reason why I think this is a little bit shocking is because we talk about this. You saw yesterday's episode. If you haven't seen it, go watch it after this. But Joshua Feinherz did break down some interesting names, some free agents that were out there and available for the Rams to sign to replace what you're missing, right, with Ahkello Witherspoon now being out with his injury. And ultimately, there were some interesting veteran names out there, right? I mean, maybe you're not really too excited about the Rams signing an aging veteran in James Bradbury, who seems to be more like a safety now at this point in his career. Okay, maybe that's not the name you want to go after. Stephon Gilmore, I know someone said they don't want a Patriot on the Rams, but, a former Patriot, but a player I think he's still capable. Does he want to start for you? That's also a question to ask for sure. Maybe Asante Samuel Jr. He's still working his way back from injury, though, so he's not really ready to play for you now. So there are still some interesting names out there that were outside free agents, but I actually was getting ready to talk about potential inside guys, right? Guys on your roster right now that are, we're talking about the practice squad guys, maybe like a AJ Green, right, for example. Guys that are already on the roster currently that I thought would have been interesting to see the Rams bring in rather than go outside, find a guy like Trey Brown. But, hey, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's give the Rams the benefit of the doubt, and let's see what Trey Brown has to bring to the table, right? So he's made 13 starts in his NFL career so far. Brown has played 39 games in his 4 seasons as a pro, but he started just 13 of those. Injuries have been an issue throughout his career, missing 12 games as a rookie and 11 in his second season. He's never played more than 15 games in a season, which was in 2023, which, again, the Rams don't really need him to play the entire season, most likely, if Ahkello Witherspoon's back sooner rather than later, of course. Obviously, IR stint, but still, if he can, play a few games and then Ahkello Witherspoon's back, we hopefully don't really need him for the entire season, I guess, but he's dealing with injuries, right, in his past. He made 7 starts that year and had a career-best 2 interceptions with 1 sack. I believe his 2 interceptions, by the way, were against Jared Goff and Joe Burrow, so pretty good names there to be picking off, right, reading the eyes of the quarterback. Brown signed with the 49ers this offseason but landed on IR in August and was waived in September, so he never appeared in a game. That makes the Rams his 3rd NFC West team. So someone was saying they don't want Stephon Gilmore, they don't want a former Patriot on the roster. Well, now you have a former 49er and a former Seahawk on the roster. And ultimately, look, when it comes down to what the Rams did with signing Trey Brown, it's not really that big of a deal, I guess. But I just feel if you're going to go out there and sign an outside free agent, why not make it a bigger name that's going to kind of, not it's not about the name or anything like that, but someone who I think is just a little bit more capable than a Trey Brown. Now, Trey Brown, I'm rooting for him. I hope he can succeed, of course. The Rams are bringing him in for a reason. They want to have that 4th cornerback behind the guys like Kobe Durant and obviously Darius Williams out there and Emmanuel Forbes Jr. are going to be your starters. We know that for a fact, but someone twists an ankle, needs to play off, whatever it is, you need a capable cornerback out there. The Rams seem to want to throw a Trey Brown out there sooner rather than later. We'll see how quickly he gets out there on the field. But overall, the reason why I think it's kind of interesting is because the Rams did have a couple interesting names, right, on the practice squad that I thought they could have gone after, could have brought up on the roster rather than go outside and sign a guy that really is not going to excite the fan base necessarily, right? So that's kind of where it's interesting for me. Not that that's, again, the important thing isn't to excite the fan base. The important thing isn't to do any of that. The important thing is to win football games. And if the Rams believe Trey Brown's going to help them win some football games, or they like what they see in him, then fine. But I just feel it's an interesting signing, to say the least. Rams have had success against Trey Brown in the past. So here, if you're curious about some of the numbers versus Trey Brown, as a former Seahawks cornerback, the Rams are pretty familiar with Brown's game. Clearly, they didn't base this signing on his past performance against them, though. So, very intriguing to point this out. Here, since 2022, Brown has played 4 games against the Rams where he was on the field for at least 10 snaps. He performed well in just one of those games, giving up multiple receptions and committing at least one penalty in the 3 others. So, 2022, he gave up 3 targets, 3 receptions, so 100% there. 39 yards, 1 penalty. Not too bad there. 39 yards isn't too much, right? 4 targets, 3 receptions, 72 yards, and a penalty. Very bad game out there in 2023. The second time he plays the Rams in 2023. 4 targets, just 1 reception, 4 yards, 1 touchdown allowed, though, on that 1 reception, but 1 pass breakup. So that's a pretty solid game in 2023 he had there. And then in 2024 versus the Rams, 2 targets, 2 receptions, 32 yards, and a penalty. So clearly, right, the Rams didn't look at his games and weren't watching him play versus them and saying, oh, wow, he looks really, really good out there. They must have had some other intel on him. Maybe just they like the size, the comparison maybe to Ahkello Witherspoon. Maybe they like what he could do and how he can fit in this scheme. Whatever it is, the Rams decided to bring him in. It's not necessarily a huge deal because it seems like it's more of a depth piece. I just felt like if you're going to go depth, why not give a guy on the practice squad an opportunity? Maybe they don't think the guys in the practice squad are ready enough. Overall, rooting for Trey Brown, hoping nothing but the best for him, and ultimately hoping he's not on the field too much at the end of the day, right? If our guys can stay healthy, I'm hoping Emmanuel Forbes, Darius Williams, and Kobe Durant can just kind of hold it down at the cornerback position. All 3 of those guys combined, that's kind of the ideal situation for the Rams anyway. So, interesting, kind of shocking, but overall, something we can kind of move past. Root for the guy, and ultimately maybe even root that he doesn't get on the field too much. Nothing against him. It's just I feel like I want the other guys to succeed around him, right? So very interesting. Let me know what you guys feel about the Trey Brown signing down below in the comment section. Moving on from that, man down. Injury update. Big time injury for the Rams. I'll say one of the biggest names on this Rams team is injured, and it's not necessarily the best of news, but luckily it's not a player. Sean McVay says he tore his plantar fascia in his foot Sunday while coaching the Rams to win over the Tennessee Titans. Torn plantar fascia. Kind of one of those reports I saw today that I was just kind of like, what? How? When? Also, I watched that whole game. I don't recall them saying that McVay looked injured or anything like that. Torn plantar fascia sounds painful. The fact that he was able to power through that for the rest of the game is very intriguing for sure. For those who don't know, by the way, I'm pretty sure the plantar fascia is like under the foot, kind of attaches, and I think it ends up attaching all the way through the calf a little bit as well. But overall, I'm not a doctor at all, but it sounds painful. So shout out to Sean McVay for hustling and powering through that, leaving it all on the field, if you will. For those who want to hear from him, see how he's feeling, he says, foot's good. I did tear my plantar fascia, so yeah, well, that's a good thing because I guess it allows you to heal a little faster. So tearing it fully rather than kind of just injuring it is better. But I was being dramatic, limping around towards the end of the game, but the MRI confirmed I did that. Good news is I'm not playing. I'm just on the sidelines watching, so if I have a little cool limp to add some swag, then you'll know why. So Sean McVay kind of making light of the situation overall. Kind of interesting, kind of not funny to see a coach get hurt, but kind of like, damn, you tore your plantar fascia coaching. Just goes to show and reminds us how passionate Sean McVay is when he coaches his team, leaves it all out there on the field literally, and will injure himself, right, attempting to coach this team to victory. So shout out to Sean McVay, leaving it out there on the field and kind of powering through it, just kind of dealing with it like a true football guy would, right? Tore my plantar fascia, whatever, I'm not playing, who cares? Shout out to Sean McVay for the quote as well. Moving on from that, last but not least, my favorite part of the episode, trivia of the day, where I ask a trivia question. You give your trivia guesses down below in the comment section. Whether you're right or whether you're wrong, we give you a shout out in the next episode that I'm on here at the Rams Digest. For those who missed last episode's trivia of the day, this was a question that we posed to everyone. We said, who was the oldest coach to ever win a Super Bowl? Kind of an interesting one here, I think. The multiple choice options for everyone was A, Bill Belichick? Was it B, Andy Reid? Was it C, Bruce Arians? Or was it D, Tom Coughlin? Who was the oldest coach to ever win a Super Bowl? I think we know Sean McVay is the youngest, right? I thought that was an easy question to go, so I flipped it and said, who was the oldest coach to ever win a Super Bowl? A few of you guys did play along with the trivia at home. I appreciate you guys for commenting down below. Manuel says, another tough trivia question. It's either Andy Reid or cough medicine. If I have to pick, talking about Coughlin, if I have to pick, I'll go with Andy because he was coaching for a while before he won one with the Chiefs. Thomas says, I think the O-line will hold up against Tennessee defense just fine. This trivia of the day, by the way, was before the game on Sunday. Trivia question, I'll say Belichick. And Thomas, you were right. I think the O-line was solid against the Tennessee Titans as well. But the correct answer for the trivia of the day of who was the oldest coach to win a Super Bowl was actually not either. It wasn't Andy Reid, it wasn't Coughlin, and it wasn't Belichick. You guys went 0 for 3 on a 25% chance to get that right. We had Bruce Arians. It was the correct answer. And I thought this was an interesting trivia because I was surprised that it was Bruce Arians myself. Apparently he was, I think, about 65 years old around that age when he finally won. Obviously, he kind of doesn't look that old, too. Bruce Arians Super Bowl. So that has to be the oldest pairing of a coach and his quarterback to win in NFL history, as Bruce Arians won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady, right, as his head coach, as his quarterback. So Bruce Arians, Super Bowl 2021 age, I guess. We can see his age now, I guess. But Bruce Arians was 68 years old when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl with Tom Brady February 7, 2021. This victory made him the oldest coach in NFL history to win a Super Bowl. How old is he right now? I mean, geez. Bruce Arians, 68 years old back in 2021. He is 72 years old right now. So shout out to Bruce Arians. Shout out to all of you guys who play along with the trivia of the day. One more shout out again to Manuel and to Thomas. You both get special shout outs for playing along because not too many people did. So appreciate both of you guys for trying, even though you guys didn't get this one correct. If you guys want to play along with today's trivia of the day, get a shout out just like those folks got on the next episode. Go ahead and play along with today's question, which is this question here. Who was the first player in NFL history to rush for 100 touchdowns? Who was the first player in NFL history to rush for 100 touchdowns? The multiple choice options for this trivia of the day is, was it A, Emmitt Smith? Was it B, Jim Brown? Was it C, Walter Payton? Or was it D, LaDainian Tomlinson? Who was the first NFL player to rush for 100 touchdowns? Give your guesses down below in the comment section. Whether you're right or whether you're wrong, we'll give you a shout out in the next episode that I'm on here at the Rams Digest. Other than that, that's going to do it for me on today's episode of the Rams Digest. Hope you guys are subscribed to the channel. If you're not, press that subscribe button now before you go. Other than that, that's going to do it for me. I'm your host, Joshua Giron, and I'm out.